Tina Turner, survivor of narcissistic abuse, Part 2. Tina Turner was born Anna Mae Bullock on November 26, 1939 in Brownsville, Tennessee, the youngest daughter of Floyd Richard Bullock and his wife Zelma Priscilla. The family lived in the nearby rural, unincorporated community of Nutbush, Tennessee, where her father worked as an overseer of the sharecroppers of Poindexter Farm on Highway 180. She later recalled picking cotton with her family at an early age. When she participated in the PBS series African American Lives 2 with Henry Louis Gates, Jr., he shared her genealogical DNA test estimates and traced her family timeline. Previously, she believed she had a significant amount of Native American ancestry. Bullock had two older sisters, Evelyn and Ruby. She was also the first cousin once removed of bluesman Eugene Bridges. As young children, the three sisters were separated when their parents relocated to Knoxville, Tennessee. Such a separation, of course, would have an impact upon her and could be viewed as a lack of control environment. Her parents went to work at a defense facility during World War II. Bullock went to stay with her strict, religious paternal grandparents, Alex and Roxana Bullock, who were deacon and deaconess at the Woodlawn Missionary Baptist Church. After the war, the sisters reunited with their parents and moved with them to Knoxville. 2 years later, the family returned to Nutbush to live in the Flag Grove community, where Bullock attended Flag Grove Elementary School from 1st through 8th grade. As a young girl, Bullock sang in the church choir at Nutbush's Spring Hill Baptist Church. When she was 11, her mother Zelma ran off without warning, seeking freedom from her abusive relationship with Floyd by relocating to St. Louis in 1950. It's evident, therefore, that there was an abusive relationship between her mother and father, something undoubtedly that she will have witnessed, that it was a tumultuous relationship. Indeed, in the Rolling Stone interview, it was remarked that both of her parents had deserted her at different points in her childhood. And the question was posed, didn't they have a tumultuous marriage? Tina Turner stated, "My mother and father didn't love each other, so they were always fighting." So she recognized that there was a loveless marriage, that they were always fighting, something that she witnessed, which of course is a lack of control environment. It would seem also that her father, being repeatedly abusive towards her mother, may well have been a narcissist himself. And that raises the possibility that the genetic predisposition towards narcissism could have been passed on to Tina Turner herself. Alternatively, it did not, and notwithstanding the fact that she witnessed a lack of control environment, it caused her to be more resilient with regard to that. Nevertheless, it's likely that as a consequence of one parent being a narcissist and the lack of control environment that she found herself exposed to and subsequent difficulties, that this created in her a high level of emotional empathy and also an addiction to narcissists which made her susceptible to future behaviors, which we will come to in due course. 2 years after her mother left the family, her father married another woman and moved to Detroit in 1952. Bullock and her sisters were sent to live with their maternal grandmother, Georgiana Curry, in Brownsville, Tennessee. In I, Tina, Turner stated that her parents hadn't loved her and she was not wanted. Zelma had wanted to leave Floyd, but stayed once she became pregnant. Turner recalled she was a very young woman who didn't want another kid. So not only did she witness a loveless marriage, but she states that she wasn't loved either. Yet, notwithstanding this, she did not go down the route of becoming a narcissist. This was either as a consequence of the fact that the genetic predisposition skipped her, because it was clearly there with regard to her father, or that notwithstanding the presence of a lack of control environment and that she had the genetic predisposition, it did not impact upon her, because it may well be that whilst her grandparents were strict, they acted as an intervener, and therefore the period of time that she spent with them prevented her becoming a narcissist. In relation to the Rolling Stone interview, where it was remarked that her mother left her when she was aged 10, she was asked, "Did you have any idea that she was going to leave?" Tina Turner stated, "No, but when she was gone, I knew she was gone. She'd left before, lack of control environment, but then she'd always taken us with her because she would go to her mother's. That this also leaving and taking the children with her could potentially have shielded them from an ongoing lack of control environment. Daddy would come and talk her into coming back home. Hoovering, initial Grant Hoover. But this time he knew she was really gone. He knew it was the end. I thought she was going to send for me, but she never did. She didn't have the money to take my sister and me with her because she was going to St. Louis, where she would have to live with people herself." The interviewer then poses the question, psychologically speaking, there really isn't anything worse than being abandoned by your mother, is there? Tina Turner responded, "I think not, but I was different because I've always been a loner. It mattered that she'd left, but it also didn't matter. What I simply missed was that she didn't love me, and I knew the difference because I used to watch her with my sister, Aline, how she was with her and how she was with me. She loved Aline, but strangely enough I wasn't sad about it. It was just a fact that my parents didn't care that much for me. See, my mother didn't want me in the first place. She'd taken my father away from another girl, which is instant karma right there. She was in the process of leaving my father when she got pregnant with me." "How old were you when your father left you?" "I was 13, but Daddy and I weren't that close, so that was fine. I didn't mind. I was a little bit afraid of him. He wasn't friendly. He was friendly with everybody else, but not with me. My parents weren't mine, and I wasn't theirs. Really, so when they left, it was as if they had always been gone as far as I was concerned. If you ask my sister Aline, you might get different answers because she might have been affected by it differently. Actually, I've never asked her what she thought about them leaving. Isn't that incredible? However, I chose them as parents because obviously those experiences made me what I am today. As a Buddhist, Turner believes that we choose the parents through whom we enter our physical life. The interviewer states, "You were left by not one parent, but two. I'm surprised that that did not leave you more disillusioned, even bitter." Turner responded, "I never allowed that to happen. I was never that person. I made a world for myself. I searched for what I wanted. And when I found it, I patterned myself after another class. When I went to school, I didn't observe the misfortunate ones, I observed the fortunate ones, people with manners, educated people. So I never became what I was. It's the same thing that I did with Ike. I never did the drugs. I never drank, never stooped to his level. No one, even now, can get me to stoop to be anything I don't want. I've always held my head high. I might not have dressed as nice as the principal's daughters, but what I had, I kept neat and clean. Once at school I was being naughty and the principal called me over. He said, 'I'm surprised at you, you're different, you should know better.' I didn't know what he meant, but I felt it was a compliment. I was very happy that he saw something different." So, notwithstanding a difficult childhood where she felt that she wasn't loved by either parent, potentially the case that both parents were narcissists, or one was and affected the other with regard to a diminution of emotional empathy towards her, the fact that she was abandoned by both parents and that she had other people in her lives probably meant that this is what caused her to become empathic. That she was exposed to narcissists, and therefore narcissism was something which felt like home. That she didn't understand what it was, but it forged the addiction within her. The presence of interveners probably shielded her from the worst of the lack of control environment, meaning that she didn't go down the same route. And it is obvious, as what she has described in terms of her own behaviours, that she had a strong moral compass, that the empathic traits of decency and honesty were at the fore. Accordingly, these were the fires in which Tina Turner was forged. A difficult environment, but one which didn't cause her to succumb to becoming a narcissist, but one that certainly did mean that she forged not only an addiction, but had certain vulnerabilities created which could be exploited by a narcissist in her adult life. I continue my examination of Tina Turner in part 3.